Don't come back in here. Don't come back in here. Oh, okay. All right. Good evening. Welcome to Star Talk. I'm Ken Eccles, and we're happy to have you with us on the program tonight. We got a phone number there. It's up there somewhere. I can't see it, but I know it's up there. You can call that number. You can also email that email address, which is up there too. I'm confident it's up there. So we'd love to hear from you either way. I got an email right at the end last night when it was too late to read it. I'm going to go back to it now because I found it very interesting. Um, Very interesting. The um, emailer said, this is, whoops, we'll find out what the emailer said in just a second. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, it's Mark Median.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna tell you, the Boy Scout stew is $9 a quart.
$9 a quart, a quart. And
Yeah, yeah,
the phone number is 336-949-4248. Right?
yeah, that's it. And the date is October 12th. I think it's what it is, October 12th.
Well, Mark, last night you said it was October 19th.
Well, yeah, it is 19th. Yeah,
Okay, it's October 19th.
yeah, it is 19th. Yeah, it is
Okay,
19th. I forgot. And 12 this weekend.
okay, stew fans,
It's
October
next Saturday.
19th is the day. And it's $9
Yeah.
a quart.
Uh, yeah. And I was going to remind Charles and Danville to watch Snoop Dogg on The Divorce tonight at 8 p.m. on Channel 12. And then
Uh,
don't forget about The Masked Singer tomorrow night.
well, you've now reminded Charles. If he needed reminding, you've taken care of that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ken.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thanks for the information about the stew. And I know there are people out there who look forward to the stews, and the season has come. Let me give you that number again, because those of you who didn't have a chance to write it down are saying, well, we'll give that number again so I can write it down. The number to order your stew from the Boy Scouts, 336-949-4248. And the big day is October 19th, and it is $9 a quart. It is not $9 a gallon, as was mistakenly said here last night. It's $9 a quart. Now, I'll get back to that the email. It actually is from Citizen D, who currently is leading our NASCAR standings. And he said, this is Citizen D. Who is playing golf on the show tonight? We keep hearing a huge drive and clapping noises. I am watching you on YouTube. So evidently, we're playing golf, and the audio was with our broadcast on YouTube last night. Nobody else has mentioned that. I don't know if that was just a special service that they provided for Citizen D and Citizen D alone, or if other people watching on YouTube hear it. Okay, well, Martinsville is asking what you're listening to. It was on YouTube. It was last night, and the viewer was watching on YouTube, Martinsville. So we don't know. We don't know. Um, but whoever it was, I hope they scored well, and that everybody had a good time. Then Citizen D goes on to say, wow, I'm in the lead finally in the contest. Please put me down in the great book for the number 24 this week. So Citizen D has the 24 for the Roval. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, Ken.
Good evening.
For what it's worth, it happened again while you were reading that email.
What happened?
Your sound went out. We heard people applauding, and I heard a golf ball roll into a cup.
Are you serious?
I am absolutely 100% serious.
Okay, Martinsville. Now, where are you watching us?
I'm watching you on Spectrum.
On Spectrum.
Right
Okay.
on cable. Channel
Okay.
1212 or 5. But either one is the same. But it happened while you were reading that email.
Okay, Martinsville, more golf action while I was reading the email, and this viewer is watching on Spectrum Cable, if you want to make a note of that.
Right.
That's the craziest thing I've ever
for what it's worth, I agree with the emailer's comments from last night. A large percentage of your show last night had ghost figures in the background and other audio that we got bits and pieces of for about a half hour.
Really? See, now
Yes,
I miss that. I don't hear any of that stuff. I miss all that stuff. I feel kind of left out.
Well, that's what we're getting.
Wow.
Just thought I'd let you know it just happened again.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks
So,
for calling.
have a good evening, sir.
Thanks. You know, this sort of reminds me. Remember, some of you will remember a couple of years ago when Elvis mysteriously appeared in our video. I don't see, of course, I didn't see him then either. I don't see Elvis now, and I haven't heard the golf. But now we've heard from two people, one on YouTube and one on Spectrum Cable, that the sound of golf being played is interspersed with my my audio. And maybe it's better. Maybe people will figure out they'd rather hear the golf than hear me. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing tonight, Kent?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Well, make that three, Ken, because I heard the sounds last night too, and I watch it on YouTube, and I heard it just now.
So you heard the golf.
Yeah, and it sounded like somebody clapping in the background too, like applause.
Yeah. Well, apparently someone hit a good shot. All right, hold on. Hang on. Everybody calm down here. I got a lot of voices coming at me at once. Caller, hang on just a second. Martinsville, what did you say? They're saying that it's happened once tonight, and it happened last night. In fact, they said it happened while I was reading the email about it. It happened again.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, Martinsville. Okay, now back to you, caller. Martinsville is going to go back through some things and figure out where that's coming from.
You know, I got one of these little handheld things, Ken, that makes all kind of noises and stuff. And you know how you can get a drum roll or applause or gun sounds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it thought you were just pranking us last night by, you know, having one of those little devices and making those noises in the background.
I know somebody might be. Someone might be doing that, but it's not me.
Okay, yeah, I remember the Elvis thing showing up in your rear mirror. In the window of the house you were staying in when your house was being repaired. I remember that well.
Yeah, so we were visited by the ghost of Elvis. Now maybe we're being visited now by the ghost of Sam Sneed. Maybe.
Who knows these days, Ken? Anything happens, you know.
I don't know. I'm hey,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here. I have no idea what's going on.
I think you live on a haunted hill over there. Is what I'm beginning to believe.
I'm not in a position to deny that at the moment.
I mean, you're not that far from a funeral home, remember?
Yeah, I'm not that far from the funeral. In fact, my wife reminded me of that a few days ago. She was really angry at me for something I hadn't done, and she said, "Are you going to do it now?" And I said, "No, I'll do it later." And she said, "You know, we don't live that far from a funeral home." She said. So, so then I went ahead and did what she was trying to get me to do.
I think I'd take her seriously after that, Ken. No doubt. You know.
Yeah, yeah, maybe so. And she'll be mad at me now because I had to chase her out of here just before we came on the air. But you don't need to hear about that.
No, that's all good. Listen, I saw Dr. Fauci on a program last night, and he came down with West Nile virus, and I didn't know it was that, you know, that much of it around. But he came down with it, man, and he really went through a big ordeal, Ken, to get back to where he is now, and he's still not 100%. Have you heard about that?
It's as serious as no. I had not heard that he had it. I do know that it is still around, though. It's not common, you wouldn't say, but it's still here, and that's why you need to be very careful about mosquitoes.
Yeah, he was warning last night. You know, he said that he's written a new book, and they wanted him to go outside and take some photos for the book. And he said he wasn't out there an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. He said he was swatting mosquitoes, and he lives in Washington, D.C. And within 48 hours, he got really sick. He had no energy, bad headache, started breaking out in rashes, and it went on to the hospital. And he said it took him 4 days to find out that what his problem really was, and it turned out to be West Nile.
Well, it's tough. I've never had it. I'm not personally acquainted with anybody who's ever had it, but it's
Right.
something you don't want. It's a nasty disease.
It is that, Ken. Certainly is. Well, I see where Trump, kind of backed out on this 60-minute interview. Now, what's up with that? I mean, he won't do another debate. He won't sit down for real interviews with, real news people. I mean, he sits on Fox every once in a while, and they kind of steer him away from this mess that he's trying to tell everybody. I mean, they try to save him with every interview, but I mean, they complain about Kamala not sitting down for interviews, and here he is. He won't make one at all, really. I just don't understand that man. Like he wants to lose the election.
Well, I'm sure that's not the case. As far as 60 Minutes goes, he said what I read. I don't know what he said. All I know is what I read. I read that he said that he didn't want to be fact checked, and that CBS was insisted on doing fact checks, and he wouldn't agree to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why wouldn't you want to be fact checked? I mean, you're supposed to be the president of the United States. Ain't people supposed to believe, what you're saying is the truth? Or maybe not. Who knows now?
I don't know what to say about that. I get fact checked every night. I got fact checked last night, and I'm not even running for president. But that's just something that he preferred not to have.
Yeah, well, the way I see it, Ken, that's just my opinion. I've never seen a man's mouth move when he wasn't lying. I mean, about anything. I mean, if he's going to give the filthy rich another tax break, and that's all you can basically say that you can believe in. But I'm telling you, no way in the world he'll ever see that White House again as president. No way.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think the thing is really too close to call right now. So we'll see.
Oh no. Well, Texas is even going blue this time. I mean, Cruz, he's toast too, Ken. Just mark it down. It's coming.
Well, now, I look at polls. I don't like polls, but I know somebody's going to ask me about polls. So I try to know what's in there so I can answer people's questions. And the polls I saw showed Cruz ahead by 3 points in his Senate race, which now it is true. In other years, Cruz has been ahead by 7, 8, 9 points. This year he's ahead by 3 points. But I think it would be breaking news. It would be headline news if Ted Cruz lost a Senate election in Texas. I would be really surprised, but who knows?
Well, Ken, just figure it like this. It was heard first on your show. Yeah, trust me, Cruz is toast.
We'll remember who
mark it
told
down.
us. We will.
Please do, Mister. Yes, sir. All right, Ken. Thank you so much for taking my call, man. I really enjoy your show.
Thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. Phone line is open. The number's up there. And the email address is kechols47@gmail.com. Yeah, that's probably up there too. I say it from force of habit. And now from force of habit, let me go back to the email account here. And this one says, "Hi, Ken, this is Jack. Put me down for the 45 this week." Okay, Jack. Where the heck is Jack? There's Jack in 4th place. Jack takes the 45 Tyler Reddick for the Roval. Jack, it's in the book. And Mr. Wentworth, oh, how about this? Mr. Wentworth says he's riding with the 45 at the Roval. So both Jack and Mr. Wentworth taking the 45. Mr. Wentworth, by the way, has been rescued from the cellar in our standings. Mr. Wentworth was only in the cellar because of my error, and I'll get back to that in a second. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please. Hello, caller. Calling caller. And caller is not there. All right. So the phone line is open at that phone number. I made an error. Well, let's try again. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, this is Early Bird.
Hey there. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Did we have a mix-up on the race or something? Did anything happen? I heard somebody said somebody was a mix-up.
There was a mix-up by me. I thought Leon had the number 24 for Talladega. He actually had the number 34. So I gave him the 38 points for the 24, but when he really only got 4 points because the 34 finished back. So Leon has gone back to last place because I messed up. Didn't affect you, though.
Yeah, okay, so I'm still in front of Mr. Draper.
You were still in front
I'm
of
still
Mr.
tied
Draper.
for 5th.
You're tied for 5th. You are, let's see, you are 11 points in front of Mr. Draper right now.
Right, okay, because he was 1 point in front of me. So I'm going to go and pick my driver.
Who's your driver?
I'm going to take Chase Elliott.
Number 9 for the Roval. That might be a good pick because he likes that Roval.
Yeah, he does. I want to go with him, Ken. I might have good luck. I hope I do.
Well, it's in the book.
It's all fun.
Well, that's, of course.
Yeah, it's all fun anyway. We win or lose. That's the main thing. That's why I like getting in. It's fun.
We just want to have a few laughs. That's all.
That's right. Okay, well, I'll let you go. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Early Bird. Good to hear from you. So Early Bird chooses the number 9. And I guess I just explained my mistake last night. I had given Leon 34 points more than he actually had earned. Sorry about that to all involved, and then sorry to you, Leon, too. When I was in 1st grade, they gave us this thing they gave us this thing at Lawsonville Avenue School. Mrs. Gwaltney was my first grade teacher. And she gave us this thing where she had written numbers, a long list of where she had written numbers on a piece of paper. And then we had to write the numbers next to where she had written the numbers, we had to write the numbers and write them exactly the way she did, which I could do. I did very well on. In fact, I was writing my numbers even before I got to the first grade, so I did well on that. I got an S for satisfactory on that exercise, as I recall. But I need to do that again. I need to go back and study those numbers again because I don't seem to write them very well anymore. And that's why when I had written the 34 next to Leon's name, by the time I looked at it again, it looked like 24. So I am going to probably Wednesday, well, after Wednesday, probably Thursday, during the 4 days I'm not on the air, I'm going to practice writing my numerals. And perhaps I will get to the point. Perhaps I can improve to the point and improve that skill to the degree that we won't have this issue anymore, because it's not the first time. Some of you are saying right now, that's not the first time you've messed up because you couldn't read what number you had written down. But let's really hope that it will be the last time. That's what we're going to shoot for, making it the last time. Emailer says, hey, Ken, I heard, oh gosh, I heard that golf game too. I heard it last night, and then I heard it again tonight at the very same time that you were talking about it. Do you know whether Elvis was a golfer? I don't know whether Elvis was in the habit of playing golf or not. I have no idea. But even if Elvis did not play golf whilst he was among us, that doesn't mean he hasn't taken up the game now. In fact, there are still people who will tell you that Elvis is still among us, even though he would be by now. He'd be a very, very elderly man by now if he was still among us. So I don't know, but clearly the golf is a real thing, as we've now heard from four people who heard the golf. So something's going on, and I know you suspect, and I know. In fact, I could name I won't name the person. But I could name a person right now who is sitting there saying, oh, come on, ECHOLS, you're not fooling anybody. This is a joke and you're in on it. I am not. If it's a joke, I am definitely not in on it. Definitely not. Kent, last night you were talking about how much money the government has borrowed in different presidential administrations. And then a man called and said, and you agreed with him, that the president cannot really spend money, and that is true. But people blame or give credit to the president for a lot of things that the president does not really do. But my point is this: I thought that when Donald Trump was president, we had a balanced budget and did not borrow any money. Is that not correct? No, email. That is not correct, email. We have not had a balanced budget since the final year of the Bill Clinton administration. And Bill Clinton did have some qualities and do certain things that people did not like or appreciate. And all that, of course, is part of the public record. But one thing that did happen while Bill Clinton was president, not that Bill Clinton did it, but it did come to pass while he was president that in his final year, the federal budget was balanced. I have a newspaper that I saved with a headline on it all about how the government now was in balance, and Congress was having meetings and talking about what to do with the surplus, because the government was now taking in more money than it was spending, and all kinds of just wonderful things the federal government was going to be able to do with that surplus that they were taking in, not least among them reduce taxes, because they didn't have to take in as much money anymore. They were talking like it was just a wonderful new world, a whole new realm of existence for the United States of America, a balanced budget. It was just the most amazing thing. Lasted 1 year, 1 year, because then George W. Bush was elected, and the first thing George W. Bush got Congress to do, and Congress agreed to do it, was a big tax cut, and immediately the federal government went back into the hole, and the hole has been the hole has been getting deeper and deeper and deeper ever since, and so the hole continues to grow. And no, unfortunately, we did not have a balanced budget during the Trump administration. Hi, Ken. Mr. Leaksville here. I'm watching on Spectrum also, and I heard the golf game while you read the email. I also remember the Elvis appearances on your show. Maybe that's why I watch, regardless of what else comes on Monday through Wednesday from 7 until 8. Enjoy your show. Well, I guess if that kind of stuff works for us as a promotional gimmick, if people are willing to watch, as even though the show is not very good, if people will watch just wondering what strange thing is going to happen next, I think so. I can go with that. I can be comfortable with that. So thank you, thank you, emailer. Ken, I read or heard that there was a town up somewhere close to Asheville that was almost completely wiped out by the hurricane. Have you heard about that? And do you know what the town was? Yes, emailer. It's a very small town called Old Fort. And it's sort of between Morganton, kind of between Morganton and Asheville, I think. I think it's west of Morganton and east of Asheville, or was, I guess, because the story is that the town is just gone. I never saw the town. I always saw the sign driving on 40 West. There's a sign there and an exit to Old Fort. So I have no idea what is or was there or what it looked like. But the mayor, I think it was the mayor of Old Fort, or some administrative person, told the newspaper that the town is just gone. So that's all I know. I don't know what the outcome of that will be. I would hope that whatever's gone, they would be able to rebuild if people still want to live there. But that's the story now, is that the town of Old Fort, at least for the time being, simply does not exist any longer. And I expect we'll be getting more news about that as the days go by. Here's one about high school NIL. So now I hear that in North Carolina, and I don't know if it's true or not, that high school ball players, just like college ball players, can now be in commercials and get money for endorsing projects in high school. Can that possibly be true? Emailer, it is true. It is. High school NIL, name, image, likeness. It's been a fact of life for college players for a while now, and now it's going to be a fact of life for high school players. High school athletes will be able to let companies advertise using their name, their pictures, their image or likeness, and there it is. Um, I don't know. Obviously, I have no idea how much money would be involved for a high school athlete doing this. I know that college athletes um, have made six figures and more. I think Armando Bacot, if I read the story correctly, or Armando Bacot, who played basketball, seemed like forever for North Carolina, made $3 or $4, $5 million off NIL during his time at Chapel Hill. Not that I would expect a high school basketball or football player, a high school athlete, to make that kind of money, but they will be able to make some money, emailer. So what you heard is correct. It is a fact. Is there going to be, says the emailer, is there going to be any other Brunswick stews coming up in addition to the one that you mentioned? Because I'm hoping for a lot of Brunswick stew chances this fall. Oh, I'm pretty sure there will be. I don't know of any right offhand. The only one we've got officially that we know about is the Boy Scouts over in Western Rockingham County that we mentioned earlier. But my goodness, it's October, and surely there'll be a lot more Brunswick stews coming along this fall, because 'tis the season for Brunswick stew. And anyone that we find out about one, we will undoubtedly inform you and pass along the information right away, because we don't want you to miss any Brunswick stew opportunity. That's important stuff. Phone line is open. There's a number right up there on your screen. If you'd like to give us a call, you can also send us an email at the email address up there. And this phone has died. I'm not gonna hit it against my hand, because I know that doesn't revive a phone that has died. That's weird, because I just charged that thing this afternoon. It ought not to be out of battery, but we're going to use the backup phone. Always have a backup phone, because you just never know what's going to happen. Ken, I read that there's now another hurricane besides Milton. There might be another hurricane that comes along right behind Milton. Have you got any information on that? Do you know where that might be, and is that something that might affect us? I know Milton is not going to. The next one would be Hurricane Nina. Yeah, I heard a little bit about Hurricane Nina today. They don't know anything for sure yet, but forecasters say that Hurricane Nina is forming up right now and could very well become an issue after Milton has gone by the books. So, we're not gonna be out of hurricanes for some time yet. To have one like Helene immediately followed by one like Milton is, well, it is a terrible and crushing thing, and it may not be over yet. So as far as your question about Nina, is Nina going to be a threat to us? I don't know. I don't know if anybody would be able to answer that question right now. But it looks like Nina will be on the way soon after Milton has gone by. The North Carolina General Assembly, by the way, unlike Congress, which has refused to do this because Congress is on vacation, the North Carolina General Assembly will be back in session tomorrow in Raleigh, and will almost certainly, I don't think there's any doubt, that the General Assembly will tomorrow approve $273 million in relief funds to help Hurricane Helene victims in Western North Carolina. And they're sort of doing it the old-fashioned way. Um, Traditionally in our country, we've suspended politics when there's a disaster like this, uh, and all gotten on the same page to do what needs to be done. It does not seem that we're doing that this time, at least not on a national basis. But in North Carolina, we are. They're returning tomorrow to approve this, and it's a certainty that they're going to approve it. I don't think there's going to be any argument on this. And then they'll probably do more. What they said today is the $273 million will be made available as soon as possible. I'm not sure exactly what the mix is. Some of it, the General Assembly is going to provide the $273 million, and then the federal government will underwrite some portion of that. I don't know which portion will be underwritten by the federal government, but some of it will be. But the important thing is they're doing it tomorrow, and the money will be made available almost immediately for use in Western North Carolina. So, we should think a good thought for the North Carolina General Assembly for being willing to do that and for getting that done so quickly. Meanwhile, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says that he will not ask Congress to come back into session. Now, FEMA has plenty, well, I don't know if plenty is the right word. FEMA has enough money to deal with Helene. FEMA has enough money to deal with everything it's dealing with right now. So it is not that FEMA is running out of money, which is one of the false stories that's been circulating in social media, is that FEMA has no money. They do. They have the money they need to do what needs to be done. And they're in Western North Carolina doing that. They did not expect, I guess no one expected, that just a few days after Helene, there would be a Category 5 storm, Hurricane Milton, that will be crossing the state of Florida. And it is unknowable how much money it's going to cost in the aftermath of Milton. And then there probably will be Hurricane Nadine after that. So anyway, FEMA asked Congress if they could come back in session. A one-day session would have been plenty, just to set up the mechanism that would be necessary to make available some additional funds for FEMA if it turns out that they need additional funds. But Speaker Johnson says he will not call the House back into session. The Senate probably would have done it, but there's no point in the Senate doing it if the House won't do it. So that won't be happening in Washington, but it will be happening in Raleigh. Ken, do you remember Harla? Hurricane, I think the emailer, I think you mean Hazel. I think you're talking about Hurricane Hazel. Do you remember Hurricane Harla? It was Hazel that hit Reidsville sometime in the 1950s, and they had to close all these schools early because they were afraid that people might get hurt by the hurricane. Are you old enough to remember that? Oh, yes, I'm old enough. I'm old enough to remember Hurricane Hazel. It was Hazel. And it was somebody else who's old, help me with this. I think it was 1955. I believe it was 1955. because Hazel hit the coast, did a lot of destruction, and then came inland and got to Rockingham County. Now it wasn't a hurricane when it got to Rockingham County. No longer a hurricane, but it was a big, strong storm with a whole lot of rain and not hurricane winds, I don't think, but certainly more winds than we were accustomed to in these parts. And they did close schools early. I may have been actually practicing writing my numbers there in Mrs. Gwaltney's class at Lossville Avenue School when they came in and announced that we were all going home early. And of course, everybody said, "Hooray, we're going home early." And then we found out that it was because a hurricane might be coming, and that made us a little less joyful, but still, we were still pretty joyful to be getting out of school early, and they had to come and take us all home that day. Hi, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Ian Briscoe from Hussville.
Hey, Briscoe.
You mentioned Hurricane Hazel.
Yeah.
I remember it. I was a high school student in Robertson County, North Carolina,
Yeah.
when Hazel hit down there, small town of St. Paul's.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I was working part-time at a local grocery store, independent grocery store, and the wind was so bad, there were several employees and people walking by were holding a plate glass window in the grocery store, holding it in the frame.
Oh,
And there
man.
was trash cans. There was trash cans in the road, trash in the road. Let's see what else. I think I saw a bale of two of cotton in the road.
Really?
Yes.
Well, now that's
I
St.
don't
Paul's
know,
is, how far is that from the coast, Briscoe?
I'm not sure. St. Paul's is about halfway between Fayetteville and Lumberton, North Carolina.
Okay, so it's a lot closer to the coast than we were.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's in eastern North Carolina.
So it was probably still
But I remember
hurricane
that.
wind when it got there.
It was. It was. Like I say, there was bales of cotton out of a cotton warehouse around the corner on the other side of the railroad tracks. Trash, everything in the road, in the main street coming through downtown. That's where I was working part-time in that independent grocery store.
Yep. So did they close the schools that day?
I don't remember. I don't even remember what month it was, whether schools were still in session or not. I don't remember.
You know, I believe it was October. I'm not sure about that.
I believe it was too, but I'm not sure.
Wow. Well, you know, it takes pretty big wind to blow a bale of cotton around.
It's exactly right.
Hmm.
But I saw bales of cotton in a street down beside the railroad track.
Well, Briscoe, I'm glad, I hope nobody got hurt, especially people standing holding a plate glass window. That was dangerous.
Well, I was one of them, but I didn't have any better sense at the time.
Well, I guess you're better off
But nobody got hurt.
holding it than having it break and fly all over the place.
Right, especially when you're working inside, and maybe the window might have gone in instead of out.
Wow. Wow. Interesting story, Briscoe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So Briscoe got a little more of the force from Hurricane Hazel than we got down there. Probably still hurricane winds when it got to Briscoe's town. Here's an emailer who says, "Ken, I have one experience in common with you from those days, and then I have another experience that is not in common with you." Okay? The experience in common is that I remember the day Hurricane Hazel came to Rockingham County, and they had to take us out of school in the middle of the afternoon, and my mother came to pick me up, and we got in the car, and we were driving home, and it was raining so hard was raining so hard that the windshield wipers could not keep the windshield clear, even even a little bit good enough for her to see how to drive. So she just pulled over to the side of the road as best she could figure out where the side of the road was. And we sat there until the rain let up a little bit so she could see how to drive. And that was one of the scariest things that happened to me in those years of my life is Hurricane Hazel. And I remember watching on the news the next day all the stuff that all the stuff that Hurricane Hazel had damaged at the coast. And I remember thinking, if it was that scary as it was here, it must have been really a lot scarier at the coast. And I told my mom I don't ever want to be on the coast when there's a hurricane. Well, emailer, I'm with you on that. And now the other experience that I have that is not in common with you is that when I was in school in those days, I learned I learned how to write numbers correctly. And I today, when I write down, say, a 34 and look at it the next day, I know it's a 34 and I have not written it so sloppy that I think it's a 24. And there is, and with that ends the email. Okay, emailer, yeah, I see the point there. As far as Hazel goes, yeah, I remember that same thing, driving home, and it was raining so hard that we couldn't see very well. I don't think we ever had to pull over entirely, but it was a lot of rain. And then as far as writing the numbers go, I'm going to practice. I am. Um, Maybe I can. Well, I wouldn't be able to find any of my elementary school teachers, but maybe they may have something at RCC. You know, Rockham Community College has all sorts of continuing education courses that people like me can enroll in if they want to. Maybe at RCC, they have some sort of course that teaches us how to correctly write things like 3 and 2 and 4 and all the other numbers as well. I might look into that. Maybe a little remedial number writing would be a good thing for me. Well, this is not a good thing uh, because it's an email that starts, "Hello, Ken, this is Pretty Man. Hello, Ken, this is Pretty Man. I know everybody is wondering who I'm going to pick for the race at the Roval. I don't know anybody who's wondering. I know everybody's wondering who I'm going to pick for the race at the Roval, and I will end the suspense right this very minute. My pick for the winner at the Roval is the guy SVG. Oh, the guy SVG. I know you will not write his number wrong because you don't know his number. So if you will just write SVG, if if they taught you how to write your letters in school, then you will know that I, Pretty Man, have selected SVG for the race at the Charlotte Roval. Also, oh, I hate it. I hate it when there's an also in one of Pretty Man's emails, but here it is. Also, I want to express to you my resentment. Resentment. I think he's trying to write resentment. Uh, but I'll read what you've written, Pretty Man. Express to you my resentment from the time that you said that my two children are smarter than I am. Well, they are. They are smarter than you are. Uh, my two children are very smart indeed, but smarter than me, I I think so. I think I think he meant to say, I don't think so. But what he really typed was, smarter than me? I think so. Uh, so where do you think, Mr. Eccles, that my children got their extreme intelligence if they did not derive it from their own father? How do you answer that? Oh, I answer that with their own mother. Um, there are two places, at least two places from where kids can derive intelligence. In some cases, not in yours, but in some cases, they can get intelligence from their fathers. But failing that, they also can get intelligence from their mothers. And I know that your wife is way smarter than you are, probably smarter than all of us, your wife. So if I was gonna take a guess at where your kids got their intelligence, that's gonna be my guess, pretty man. Uh, so there, and that mercifully, that is the end of Pretty Man's email. So Pretty Man has SVG for the Rovals. Let's see who's got what here. Citizen D has the 24. Charles has the 12. Jack has the 45. Early Bird has the 9. Mr. Pelham has SVG. Mr. Pelham and Pretty Man, obviously birds of a feather. Mark has the 9. Nice Guy has the 9. A lot of 9s on this list. Mr. Leaksville has the 24. Mr. Wentworth has the 45. So Miss Wentworth and Jack both with the 45, and that's how it lines up for the Roval so far. We are yet to hear from, haven't heard yet from Liberal, Mr. Draper, Captain Midnight, Tar Heel and Mayadan, or the Avenger. So those picks are yet to come. Phone line is open. We have, well, not too much time left, but if you'd like to give us a call, there's the phone number right up there that you can use. You can also send us an email if you wish to do that at kechols47@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you either way in these last few minutes of our show. This emailer says, Ken, I have a story also about Hurricane Hazel. I don't know how many people even remember it, probably not very many people, but I remember it really well because I was on my way home from school in my dad's car as they had come to pick us up early, and we were on Southeast, I think it is, Southeast Market Street in Reedsville, the one that goes there alongside of the railroad tracks. And there used to be a lot of stores on that street, not so much anymore. But there was a store on that street that had a green and white metal awning. And I remember it so well because it scared me. As we drove by that store, that green and white metal awning was shaking up and down as the wind hit it. And just as we got next to it, it broke loose from the front of the store and just went flying right over the car. Thank the Lord it didn't hit us, but it made a big noise going over the car, and it didn't miss us by much. And when it landed, it was on the right side of the car, right next to the railroad tracks. It landed, and it sounded like an explosion. It was so loud. And I was 7 years old at the time, and that scared me more than anything had ever scared me in my whole life. Unfortunately, I have had scarier things happen since, but I didn't have anything ever that scary before that. As I remember, nobody in Rockingham County got hurt in Hurricane Hazel, but there was a whole lot of property damage. I don't know exactly how much, but it was a pretty big amount. Yeah, well, I don't remember exactly how much either, emailer. And I don't remember anybody getting hurt. If there are any injuries in Rockingham County, I don't know of them. But there was a lot of property damage. Well, we know there was at least one awning blown down, and a whole lot more and a whole lot worse than that. A lot of trees were blown down, and some of those trees did damage coming down. And I think there were some rooftops that were pretty severely damaged by the wind. Maybe some windows. I don't know if there are any windows blown through or not, but it was a rough day, and it didn't go on for very long. It was only a few hours. It's not like it went on all day, as I recall. It was just for a few hours, but it did a fair amount of damage when it was here. It did Hurricane Hazel. And that is all the time we have tonight. Let me mention this again because I know a lot of you want to grab onto this. Brunswick Stew coming up on October 19th. The Boy Scouts in Mayodan. It's $9 a quart. If you'd like to call and reserve a quart of Brunswick Stew, the number is 336 949 4248. And if I do say so myself, I think I wrote these numbers extremely well. That's 336 949 4248 to reserve a quart of Brunswick Stew from the Boy Scouts. That's all for Star Talk tonight. We're on the air Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I hope you'll join us next time. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Echols. Hello, caller. We're off the air. Okay, see you tomorrow.